Hi everyone, this is Low Fiber Girl here, and today I wanted to give you an update on my low fiber keto diet. So it's been a long time since I've done a video. I figured it's time to give you all an update and see if anything's changed or if things are still the same. So I am still doing, I would call it higher fat dairy versus the lower fat dairy. And I'm keeping it low fiber. And so I will go ahead and talk about these foods that I eat. And I am focusing on low insulin. This is a low insulin diet plan, low insulin diet. And that means the foods that I eat are going to have not a very significant impact on my insulin. And so I'm doing half and half. And that's my milk of choice. It does not raise insulin very much. And I'm doing sugar-free whipped cream in a spray can. Oh yeah. I don't know, I have had over the months this addiction to the spray can whipped cream and putting, chocolate chips on it or melting chocolate sauce on it. It's been my go-to addiction. But a lot of them I can't tolerate. A lot of them have maltodextrin, especially the ones that are extra creamy. And I don't do well with maltodextrin. So, and if they add cellulose gum to it or cellulose gel, that also upsets my stomach. And those of you who talked about cream cheese having all the guar gums in it and all that, well, that comment was right, because the cream cheese did not work after all because of that factor. The gums really did irritate my gut, and I just didn't feel good with the cream cheese. I also don't do cottage cheese. That raises insulin a little too much for me. So I am staying with I would call it the moderate to high fat dairy. And I don't like to go as far as buying heavy cream. I've tried doing that. It just feels too concentrated for me, almost on the level of butter. I also don't do butter. So half and half seems to be kind of my sweet spot of what I can handle as far as going up in the fat. And of course, these spray can whipped creams have about the same amount of fat to milk ratio, because of they're kind of diluted as well. They're not like heavy cream. And if I do use any cheese, it's going to be I get this reduced fat shredded cheese. It's a Mexican blend, like a Fiesta blend, and that one seems to be fine. I just eat little bits of that here or there if I feel like I need a little more protein. I also just sometimes take the Parmesan shaker cheese and just take a little spoonful of that too. That's pretty good. So the chocolate part, I've been really into these dark chocolate wafers. I really love the taste of them. Oh my gosh, they are to die for. These are meant for melting, as making your own candy and stuff like that. So they use Dutch processed cocoa powder. So it's made differently than chocolate chips. And it does not have cocoa butter in it. It's made with palm kernel oil. And I like palm kernel oil. That really digests well for me. So palm kernel oil, Dutch processed cocoa, sugar. They do add a little bit of non-fat milk powder into this mix. But very little, because these are dark chocolate ones. They're not milk chocolate. So I really like that. And I still do semi-sweet chocolate chips too. And with a half and half, I do make pudding out of it. But it's, the cornstarch is so diluted, because I'm using, mostly half and half. So if I don't feel like that's any problem for me. And then I use the chocolate to kind of sweeten it with, like that. anyways, it's going good like this, and I've tried all different things, and recently I've done more experimentation on myself just to check on certain foods, make sure, what I really feel about stuff. So now I want to give you like my food philosophy. Like after just experimenting and thinking about everything, it's really just come down to the fact that I really dislike, I would use the word almost hate, most plant foods. The vegetable kingdom, like your grocery store vegetables, oh, they're just horrible. And I don't like even the low fiber ones, the ones that are considered to be okay for a low fiber diet, such as cooked beets, carrots, zucchini, summer yellow squash, pumpkin, cooked spinach, cooked asparagus tips. Any of those, none of those do me good. The only thing I truly like, but I avoid eating it because it's acidic, is tomato sauce, like a tomato puree type of thing. Like if I could just have a creamy tomato soup, oh, I'd be like totally down with that. But my stomach won't tolerate that acidicness of the tomatoes. But that's the only thing of vegetables that I would ever really crave. I don't crave all those green vegetables, nothing of that sort. And I'm so done. I don't even like carrots these days. I don't like carrots, don't like beets. All that stuff I've found it to be problematic for my digestive system, for the way it impacts the way I feel. I don't feel it should be a part of my body. I don't feel it should be going in me. And that's how I feel about most plant foods. I just don't think that at least my body is meant to eat those things. And it does make, things simpler in life, just avoiding most plant foods. The only plant food I like and that I've always liked is chocolate. That's it. There is nothing else. And I would say the only benefit of having such as like grain, the only benefit to growing and harvesting and producing grain is to purify and refine out the starch to be used into pudding, whether it's cornstarch, wheat starch, tapioca starch, arrowroot starch, potato starch, whatever form of starch. To me, that's the only benefit, is to be able to use that starch to thicken up whatever you're making that's kind of liquidy and that you want it to be a little thicker. Other than that, I don't find any use for that stuff. And I just think those foods are very problematic for people. And I bet you that half the people's health problems, maybe even more than half, are coming from plant foods. The toxicity of them, the anti-nutrients of them, the things that are, attacking your system because of all the defense chemicals and things that plants naturally have to defend themselves against insects and predators. So, they're not really meant to be eaten anyway. Certain animals can handle that, but yeah, I'm just so done with that. I really believe that dairy foods is the way to go. Like, I don't know, dairy is the great thing is dairy is very diverse, so it can accommodate for people's various needs. If someone needs a low-fat diet, well, you can use low-fat dairy. If someone needs a high-protein diet, well, you can go with high-protein dairy. If someone just needs a very high-fat diet and low of the other macronutrients, you can go that direction as well. Consume a lot of butter or ghee or heavy cream. So it's kind of like, it's great. It's like an all-in-all. You can figure out what works for you. If you need something more like soured dairy, if you need a lot of probiotics or whatever, you can do yogurts and kefirs and all that stuff. So yeah, I tend to gravitate towards fresh dairy, medium to high fat, non-aged, non-cultured, non-fermented dairy is best for me. And I think that, yeah, I think dairy is such a great food because you can basically live off of it, and it'll supply your body with, I would say, almost everything you need. If you need to supplement here or there with maybe a little vitamin C or whatever, you can do so. So those are the updates for my low fiber keto diet, and I am highly against fiber. Fiber's disastrous, and I don't see any benefit to people eating fiber. It really just clogs up your system. I don't see how that's worthy. But yeah, so there you have it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to write down below, and hope you all have a great day.